Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wonders. And today we are back in probably one of the best Costco's in all of Southern California, and probably all of California for that matter, to do wonders. And it's not exactly a secret, so I'm not ruining it, but it is the Costco in Pacific Beach in San Diego on Morena Boulevard, because they are known for getting some of the white rhinos of the whiskey world. Things like the Wellers and the Pappies and the GTSs and the birthday bourbons and the Old Fitzes and all those kinds of things. But today we come across maybe a little bit more low profile, but probably one of the highest rated Laphroaigs I have ever seen in person at MSRP, which is the Laphroaig 16, and a very popular, sort of low-key, sort of super hyped whiskey that has a reputation for being great when it hits, but sometimes, it misses, which is the Willet 4-year-old family estate rye. And we see so much more. Oh, also, as a result of this wonder, I may actually be some sort of Scottish royalty now. At least a landlord with a deeded plot of real-life Scottish land on the Laphroaig estate. And we see so much more. So if you like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the hauls, if you like the reviews, the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are super thankful for that. But also because you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays and, sometimes in between. All right, now, let's get down to the video. All right, so for today's whiskey check, I'm going to be enjoying something that I enjoy when I want to have a decent scotch with a decent age and a very decent price, which is going to be this Kirkland 19-year-old Speyside Scotch. You can't go wrong. I don't remember exactly how much we paid for it, but it definitely wasn't too much, and it's pretty good quality to boot. So let's see if we can get a pop here on it. Turn it over both sides, see if we can get a pop. Not terrible, not terrible. And get a little bit of juice here. Oh, yeah. And to whiskey. Because, let's face it, you really can never drink too much of it. You can only just drink it too fast. Cheers. Oh, that's pretty good. You know what, Kirkland? My hat's off to you, if I was wearing a hat. All right, so first up for today is a whiskey that gets a lot of hype, but also gets a lot of hate, which is this Willet Family Estate 4-year-old rye. And if we just take a look at the label right there, right off the bat, it looks quite fancy, right? It's got like a sort of like a patents of nobility to it, looking label with a family crest, so it looks real fancy for sure. This Willet Rye is a small batch, and there's a lot of variations, I guess, from one batch to the other. As you can see here, it looks like they do put like a lot of information on here. There's a lot of writing on here, but actually when you really get down to it, it just is going to be the ABV and the proof on there. So I thought there'd be lots of like bottle facts when I bought it, but it looks like it's just words. But it is composed of two blends of Willet Rye whiskeys, a high rye and a low rye, which I guess if you put them together, wouldn't that just kind of average out to like a medium rye? Either way, the high rye has a mash bill of 74% rye, 11% corn, and 15% malted barley, while the low rye has 51% rye, 34% corn, and 15% malted barley, which if they can do that right, and I think those mixtures are kind of complex to get and hard to do, but if they can do it right and maintain some sort of separation between the two high and low ryes on the palate, it could lead to a very interesting and a very complex palate that I think would be super enjoyable. But like I said, batch to batch, these things seem to have a pretty wide discrepancy from one year to the next. Now, the price that we see here at Costco at the Morena Boulevard is at $59.99, which is basically at MSRP, or maybe even like a smidge below. And of course, it's the best price that you're going to find. There's nowhere else you're going to find it at a better price. But the next lowest price on there is going to be at Total Wine for $64.99, or Bevmo at $74.99. And I think even locally, I've seen it at a grocery store, maybe for a bit more, maybe even like $10 out. I don't remember exactly how much that one was. This means, though, that by buying it at Costco, we end up saving $5 off the next lowest price at Total Wine, or 8.33%. The ABV on the Willet is a very, very respectable and, might I say, healthy 53.7%, which you can see right there. Well, that comes out to 107.4 proof. which does actually make that cask strength. Additionally, the tasting notes on it mention that there is a very young kind of taste to the whiskey, which would make sense because it's only 4 years old, but also has a good level of complexity, like, trying to explain to your wife why your crypto is going to be worth trillions of dollars in the not so distant future. Yeah, get those kinds of legs. But also, there are flavors like steamed raisins, mint, and boatload of rye spice. That one doesn't. And Sobe green tea. I don't know if any of you remember the Sobe green tea, but they were delicious back in the day. The one with the gecko on it. Yeah, so it has all those kind of hints of notes floating around in there. The review scores I could find on this one are pretty good at 88 points out of 100. So this one was a buy for us, and I think I'm just really interested, to see whether it meets that hype or, if the haters are kind of right that it just isn't really all that it's cracked up to be. But either way, we found it at Costco at MSRP, so, it was a buy. So that is the Willet Family Estate Small Batch 4-year-old Rye. Now, next up for today is a whiskey that we were pretty excited about going to get. And it's the whole reason why we even went to the Costco Morena Blvd, because they had it, and finding it at MSRP is always amazing, which is this Laphroaig 16. Yeah. Now, the normal Laphroaig, that is the flagship brand or line of Laphroaig, is normally just aged 10 years. And you can really find all sorts of other iterations of Laphroaig 10, where they have a sherry barrel or an Oloroso barrel or a quarter cask or a hogshead cask. They have all kinds of different versions of it, but essentially it's all just Laphroaig 10, just kind of finished off in different ways, which I think in my mind is more a lot of times just kind of like a marketing shtick. It's an easy way to not add too much price to their cost, but to add some value to the whiskey by finishing it in, a sherry or Oloroso or a quarter cask or whatever. But this Laphroaig 16 is one of those whiskeys that is a real deal. There's no BS change to a whiskey to make it more valuable, primarily because it has a higher age than normal, and it has a higher ABV than normal. If we look at the normal Laphroaig 10. And of course, that extra time and that extra money that they put in to have the ABV higher is going to make all the difference. At least that's what I'm hoping, and I would imagine that's what Laphroaig is hoping. Now, for this Laphroaig 16, I think the whole raison d'etre for it is to be a direct competitor. Think about the the MiG-29 to the F-18, a direct competitor to Lagavulin. And in fact, it might even end up being a Lagavulin killer for the standard Lagavulin 16. Obviously, they have the same age on them, which, I think is a big indicator of where their mindset was for the marketing. I say that because the thing is, I really like Laphroaig, the general standard Laphroaig. But the thing is, at 10 years, it always seems just to kind of fall behind pretty far from the Lagavulin. It doesn't get the same maturity, it doesn't have the same depth, it doesn't have the same kind of flavor profile that only comes with a little bit of additional age. But with this version of Laphroaig, the 16, we really can kind of compare apples to apples, a comparison, maybe not apples to apples, maybe lemons to lime, but a pretty good comparison between the whiskeys when they're both at the same age. So obviously they are going to be different. One is the different one is kung fu and one is taekwondo, but they're all kind of still martial arts, if that makes any sense. And the Laphroaig 16 is specifically made from 100% malted barley, like the standard Laphroaig 10. It is aged in ex-bourbon casks, and it was created actually in honor of Laphroaig's 200th anniversary, which is also pretty cool because I think that is the oldest anniversary whiskey that we have, because we have the Gold Spot, which is 135th anniversary for Mitchell & Sons, and then we also have the Suntory 100th anniversary as well, but this is the oldest anniversary we have at 200 years. They produced about 11,500 bottles, which is a lot of bottles. That is a lot of bottles for sure, but also, you know what? It's not that big considering how much vastitude of bottles that are produced by Laphroaig on a year. I don't know what they are, but I can guarantee you it is orders of magnitude huger than 11,500 bottles in a standard run. And this one also is non-chill filter. So of course, that is all well and good. And what won me over on this one is the fact that inside, also, there is a little book, which is very common on Laphroaig, usually. They have it in there. But inside the book, they have a code, which I'm not going to show you, but they have a code in here that if you go and register, you actually get a little 1 foot by 1 foot piece of land on the Laphroaig estate. So, I mean, basically, if you really kind of think about it, I'm Scottish royalty. Unfortunately, in the finest print, though, it does mention that you cannot cut any of the peat. You can't use it for mining, so I got to give up my mining detail. You don't have any mineral rights, and you can't graze sheep on it. But what you do get is a free dram of Laphroaig when you go and pick it up in the distillery. And frankly, if you really think about it, they might be saving me a lot of heartache, considering what the UK taxations are. Taxation without representation. Now, that free Laphroaig dram, it's a nice thing. It's not a lot, all right? I would imagine Laphroaig is probably watering their gardens with the amount of Laphroaig that they produce. But you know what? When I stop by, if I ever stop by, I'll claim my birthright here from my deed for a dram of Laphroaig. Also means that walking around the house, I'm standing a little bit taller. My shoulders are a little farther back. Gotta make the wife refer to me as the Lord of the house. But really, I thought it was cool. So that's a cool aspect of Laphroaig. And I know I oftentimes lean very heavily on Lagavulin, but you know what? Give me a foot of land, I'll start leaning back the other direction. Now, that being said, the price on this Laphroaig is a bit pricey. It is considerably pricier than the standard Laphroaig 10. Which is really, meant for landlords like myself to be able to buy. Because here at Costco, you can see it for $114.99, which, again, order of magnitude higher than standard Laphroaig, which you can find for like $31, $32, depending on where you're at. So it's just way, way higher. But still, for what it is, you are still saving cost over if you were to find it at Total Wine, which has it at $139.99, or Bevmo, who has it at $149.99, which means that by buying it at Costco, we saved $25 off the next lowest price, or 21.74%. Also, now all of a sudden, I have a very strong opinion about Rishi Sunak's most recent mortgage scheme. Now, the ABV on this 16-year-old version is a bit higher than what you're going to find on the standard Laphroaig 10, because the 16 is at 48%, while the 10 is only at 43%. Which, again, 48% is not astronomically high, especially in comparison to some of the bourbons, even like the Willet or whatever we're normally drinking. But it's reasonable. It's a gentlemanly ABV, nothing to scoff out. And the reviews on it, on the 16, are really quite good. In fact, the best ones that I think I've seen out of the Laphroaig family at 90 points out of 100. And there were some people who really just loved it. They raved about it and they gave it amazing reviews, which maybe is a bit unjustified. But a lot of the people, the majority of the people, actually found it pretty good. So that's what brought it up to that 90. And for members of the Peat Mob like myself, and people who like Laphroaig, and people who look for a nice alternative to the Lagavulin, sorry Lagavulin, they gave me a piece of land. What can I say? I'm really excited to have this one and see. So yeah, that is the Laphroaig 16. It was a buy. It's a bit pricey for what it is. But again, sort of like buying the full package on the Honda Civic, but people love it. And I'm really interested to see how it stacks up on this side of it as well. So that is the Laphroaig 16. All right, so that is it for today's Whiskey Wanders at the Costco in Morena Blvd. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And in fact, I hope you enjoy all of our videos, whether it is the Wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you. And the honest truth is, we have tons of amazing stuff cooking up for you. But if you do, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also, I like to think it is good for your whiskey mojo. It pleases the whiskey gods, and you also get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays and, sometimes in between. Now, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it, because if you don't, somebody else surely will, and it might even be a landed gentry like me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.